And another big name here at the Democratic Convention, Caroline Kennedy. She told me today this is the first convention in which she won't introduce her Uncle Teddy, the late Edward Kennedy. 4 years ago, Caroline endorsed then-Senator Obama, saying he inspired her in a way that her own father inspired Americans. Today, we asked her what she makes of the talk that for many voters, that inspiration, that hope has faded. We did some research, and could it be true that this is the first convention since 1944 when there wasn't an elected Kennedy in the building?
It's possible, but I think there will be one pretty soon.
I have a
Cousin
suspicion.
Joe
Yeah, I thought
is
you would
running.
say that.
Yeah, and he's terrific. So, we thought we'd,
give it a break.
give it a
maybe
break.
one convention or two.
Right.
Caroline Kennedy talking about her cousin Joe, who is running for Congress in Massachusetts. But it's her late Uncle Ted we talked about too. You and your Uncle Ted Kennedy 4 years ago were booming voices for the Obama campaign, and you were a
I
big
was just
voice
a voice.
too. Yeah. But I wanted to take you back to something you wrote. You wrote that I have never had a president who inspired me the way people tell me that my father inspired them. But for the first time, I believe I found the man who could be that president. Do you still feel just as inspired by President Obama?
I absolutely do. So many people who had voted for my father in 1960 for the first time were out there again this year.
We remember the image of you and Oprah on the stage 4 years ago. And I'm curious, 4 years later, have you checked in with her?
No, I was wondering if I might run into her here.
To see her or
yeah,
talk
see
to her?
or talk to her.
Do you miss some of that sizzle maybe of 4 years ago?
No, I mean, I think this is a great campaign.
Is it a different time, a more sober time?
I think it is. I think it is.
She says for everyone, it is the economy. But she argues the president is adding jobs after inheriting an economy hemorrhaging them. Her uncle championed. It's the first time you won't be introducing your Uncle Teddy.
Right.
Is that tough for you?
Well, I miss him.
Here at the convention, a tribute to Ted Kennedy with clips of him debating Mitt Romney, who challenged Kennedy in '94. I'm curious, in an unexpected way, do you think your Uncle Teddy is still sort of advising the campaign?
It's just so classic Teddy that he was somehow able to appear and be relevant, again and again.
And about the Romney campaign's talk of those fading Obama posters from 4 years ago, the fading hope, you're not worried about an enthusiasm gap?
I'm not worried about an enthusiasm gap. Certainly not in my house.
How'd the First Lady do last night?
Oh, my God. She was unbelievable. Really fantastic.
And you're
so
up tomorrow?
Inspiring. Yeah, exactly.
Have you practiced?
I'm going to be getting to that after shortly.
After this.
Shortly, yeah.
But the speech is written?
Yeah, the speech is written.
Can you give us a preview, a hint?
It'll be something, new and different.
And hopefully profound.
Oh, yeah, well, we'll see.
Our exclusive interview with Caroline Kennedy earlier here today. I did ask Caroline if she has ruled out a political future for herself. She said she simply doesn't know. As you heard her mention there, she speaks here tomorrow night, although she added she hasn't practiced her speech yet. Get practicing, right? Here are persons of the week, some faces you've never seen before, but their captain you have. Caroline Kennedy, remembering something from her childhood and now trying to share it with other young people. As she reveals here tonight, it was a gift that made a huge difference for her and her brother John. The indelible images of Caroline Kennedy's childhood, the little girl in the White House hiding under her father's desk, sitting beside her mother in bed. And if you look closely, there is often something else, books, many of them filled with poetry. Her mother, Jacqueline Kennedy, would recite poetry as a little girl in school assembly. And years later, she would teach her own daughter to do the same.
My mother taught me a short poem by Edna St. Vincent Millay when I was about 3, and I do remember reciting it for my father.
And what would your dad say to you after you?
I don't know, everyone would clap, of course.
And for her mother, every Mother's Day, she and her brother would find a poem, copy it down, and give it to her. And it wasn't until years later, not long ago in fact, that she discovered a poem in that scrapbook selected by her brother, a young John, and it had a twist. Is this the one about Willie?
Yeah.
And how does it go?
It goes, careless Willie, with a thirst for gore, nailed his sister to the door. Mother said with humor quaint, careful Willie, don't spoil the paint. So when I saw it, I could just picture us at that age. It really made me laugh.
What do you think you had done to him?
What? He did things to me. I didn't do anything to him.
That laughter, those memories, kept alive by the poems, and she's looking to do the same now for other young people in her new book, Poems to Learn by Heart. Quietly, Caroline has been volunteering at New York's public schools for a decade now. In fact, her students helped her select the poems. One of them, Dreamkeeper by Langston Hughes, and we asked Caroline and her students to recite it.
Bring me all of your dreams, you dreamers.
Bring me all your heart melodies.
That I may wrap in a blue cloud cloth.
Away from the two rough fingers
Of the world. Is that right? Yes.
A poetry slam with Caroline Kennedy. I never thought I'd see the day. And her students who never imagined caring about poetry, now grateful for the unexpected gift.
It's really changed like who I am as a person.
You wouldn't have been standing in front of this camera.
Not at all.
So when you hear that, that it's given them a voice,
Yes.
what do you think?
I hope that other people their age will look at them and see how words and ideas have the power to change your life.
And so we choose Caroline Kennedy and those brave young poets.
Caroline Kennedy. We first saw her, of course, as the president's daughter with the irrepressible smile. But now, could she be representing America in Japan? ABC's David Muir with the late breaking story.
Diane, great to see you tonight. And ABC News has learned, in fact, that this move could be imminent. Caroline Kennedy, very likely the next ambassador to Japan. The White House wouldn't comment today, but we did get sort of a hint from Caroline Kennedy herself that she'd be willing when we sat down with her not long ago. ABC News has learned the White House has talked with Caroline Kennedy. The president expected to nominate her to the post, and we've learned she's expressed a willingness to accept it. A post we asked her about when we sat down with her just a couple of weeks ago. I'm curious, what does Ambassador Kennedy sound like to you? Is that something you'd be interested in?
Nobody's asked me, so, we'll just have to see what happens.
But you'd be open to it?
Yeah, I'd be open to all kinds of things.
There have long been questions about Caroline Kennedy's political aspirations. The daughter of JFK, her childhood images now iconic. That talk about her future reaching a fever pitch not long after she campaigned for President Obama during his first presidential campaign, sharing the stage with cousin Maria Shriver and Oprah. Not long after, Kennedy briefly exploring whether to run for Hillary Clinton's Senate seat. What did you learn from that? And did it close the door for you in your mind, or are you still open to it?
So I believe in public service, and I admire people who do that. So we'll see what happens. Before his death, her brother JFK Jr. had never ruled out completely running for political office. Tonight, though, the focus again on Caroline as she awaits a possible call from the president. In the meantime, focused on her new book, a collection of poems, remembering that little girl looking to impress another president, reciting that first poem to her father. And you can still hear to this day the applause when little Caroline. Little Caroline, yeah, still, hoping to get that, reaction. Caroline Kennedy is 55 now, a mother, a lawyer, and author, and she quietly volunteers in New York's public schools. One of her more recent projects, helping students with their college applications. She actually goes on visits to college campuses, but very soon, Diane, her travels could take her to Japan.
Stay tuned, as we say. Stay tuned. Thanks, David.